Good Monday evening, Southeast Texas. Welcome to 12 News Plus. We're going to take the next 15 minutes and dive into your 7-day forecast. Give you a lot more than what you normally see during our regular shows, as I've got 15 minutes instead of 3:30. Otherwise, as you can see, clear skies. A much drier air mass is filtered in behind our latest bona fide cold front, the strongest so far of the season, and that has really pushed all the moisture out, for the most part, out into the Gulf, making it feel a little bit more comfortable, a little more reasonable across Southeast Texas. And that clear skies, dry air, look at how low the humidity is over at the Horseman's Western Store in Orange. That is going to make it feel pretty nice coming up tomorrow morning. In fact, we expect maybe some upper 50s in the lakes area, certainly around the low to mid 60s here in the Triangle. And again, this is part of the Roofing 911 Skycam network. As far as your allergy report, tree pollen has gone back down to low levels, and then weed pollen and grass pollen at moderate levels. Mold very high across the area right now. Otherwise, in your weather headlines, a couple of cool nights expected. Tonight will be the coolest night tomorrow morning, and then we start warming up as we normally do, but sunny afternoons are expected. A little bit warmer tomorrow afternoon. Now, as we head towards the end of the week, we'll see high pressure build across the state, and that will push afternoon high temperatures into the mid 90s once again. But the dry weather is expected to continue as we'll have a dry air mass in the mid levels of the atmosphere. Maybe towards, say, Sunday, Monday of next week, we'll start to see more south and southeast winds off the Gulf, and that'll allow humidity levels start rising, and we'll start to moisten the atmosphere. So maybe a little more cloud cover. This morning, not bad, at least at the airports. We got down to, what, 61 up at Jasper and into the mid to upper 60s in the Triangle. We're going to be a little bit cooler than that coming up tomorrow morning. Don't be surprised if you see the upper 50s in the lakes to the low to mid 60s here in the Triangle. And we're expecting a 58, 59, maybe 60 up in the lakes. I think this modeling is a little too cool for Beaumont. We're going to go 62 in Beaumont. I agree with the 61 in Orange. 64 to 65 seems reasonable over in Port Arthur and back over towards Winnie. But again, that's pretty reasonable, pretty close to what we're thinking. So tomorrow, here is my forecast. We're going with 90 degrees in the Triangle, no rain, with a northeast and southeast wind. Lots of sun tomorrow. Modeling, let's see what it shows. About 90 degrees, sunny skies, and no rain. So we agree. I don't like that 60-degree reading in Beaumont. I think it'll be more like about 62. Outlying areas, maybe China, Fournette, maybe over towards Vidor, a 60, 61 is doable. We'll see. Up in the lakes, 88, maybe an 89. No rain expected tomorrow with northeast winds all day. Lots of sun, low humidity. Should feel pretty nice. As low temperatures, I think it'll be cooler than that 61, maybe 60, 58, 59 up in the lakes. And we're going to go with warmer temperatures because we got to the low to mid 80s today. Why would we tomorrow? That makes no sense to me. So we'll go with the upper 80s tomorrow. Lots of sun, low humidity. Should be a nice afternoon across much of southeast Texas. So again, this is in for the Triangle. We're forecasting a nice steady warming trend as high pressure builds over the state and should be over our area. So it's going to be tough to get any shower activity through at least Saturday as those highs inch upwards into the mid 90s. The high begins weakening as we head towards Sunday and Monday. We'll start to see more of a southeasterly wind return off the Gulf. So rising humidity, it's just too dry in the atmosphere to support really any widespread rainfall. We'll start to maybe possibly see by Sunday, Monday, a possibility of an isolated shower. Right now, I'm not convinced enough to go even a 10% coverage, but we'll take another look at it tomorrow and see if modeling continues that trending that way. So we may give us very isolated activity. That's like a 10% coming up Sunday and Monday, but right now, just not confident to go more than nothing right now. So clear skies, and that's going to be the case across our area tonight. So it looks like a quiet night across southeast Texas. As I said, temperatures will be very pleasant this evening if you're going to do any outdoor activities. Kind of nice to be able to walk outside and not instantly dive into that sauna and have to deal with that. And then one of the reasons is because we've seen a much drier air mass. These are dew points. In other words, for us to get, if our dew point, or if our temperature got down to the dew point, it's 82 right now. Yeah. 82 in Jasper. If Jasper dropped to 57, that means you get 100% relative humidity. If Beaumont, which is at 82 right now, dropped to 52, then you'd have 100% relative humidity. If Orange dropped to 56, they're at 84. If they drop to 56, if the temperature and dew point are the same, you have 100% relative humidity. So that's how much these dew points have come down. So that means that the moisture content in the atmosphere has gone down. The atmosphere has dried, making it much more pleasant, or a little more pleasant. When you get dew points in the 40s and 50s, that's feeling pretty good for our standards across southeast Texas. So across the state, moisture is deeper. There's more moisture out in the Gulf, hence the showers, and back over to central Texas and then up towards the Panhandle. More moisture there, more moisture here, South Texas out in the Gulf. The atmosphere is very dry. Notice the absence of cloud cover as we are seeing a northeasterly wind over southeast Texas, and that's because of that front that's pushed out into the Gulf. So we don't really expect much in the way of cloud cover tonight or tomorrow, really for the next several days. We may see a little more increase otherwise towards the weekend. So as you can see, look at the moisture content. It's immaterial as far as these numbers. These are for me and other meteorologists. See the higher numbers, the deeper moisture. A little bit of moisture up towards Oklahoma City, back over towards Ozona, San Antonio, Palacios, Brownsville, Corpus Christi. And as you can see, you go up the scale. Look at all the brown, way down the scale. That means low moisture in the atmosphere. But as you go south into the Gulf, you get to the green. Look how we're going up the scale, yellows and oranges. So the deep moisture has been pushed south into the Gulf because of that front that pushed through, and that's why we are enjoying the weather a little more across southeast Texas. So tonight, we expect certainly clear skies across the area, and I think it'll be cooler than what we saw this morning. So do not be surprised. Right now, I went 60 into Jasper. I'll take another look at this before we go on at 10 tonight. But there could be a 57, 58, 59, 60-degree reading up in the lakes area, certainly up towards Burkeville. If anybody's going to be the coolest, it'll be Burkeville, maybe a 57, 58-degree reading up there. Triangle, I think that's a little too cool in Beaumont. I like the 61 in Orange. We'll go in the city proper, 62 in Beaumont, mid-60s Port Arthur, back over mid-county, and also Winnie. So that is certainly feeling a little bit better. So we could be about roughly 10 degrees below where we should be this time of year. The record, at least here in Beaumont, is 60 degrees. Yeah, 60 degrees set in 2011. So if we get down to 60 degrees, we would tie that record for the day. I don't think we're going to do that at this time. Otherwise, we expect a beautiful morning tomorrow morning. It is going to be fantastic for sitting out on the back porch, reading the newspaper. At least that's what my dad used to do, and drink coffee on Saturday mornings. And then by the afternoon, it should warm up very nicely. I think we could get up into the upper 80s in the lakes and around 90 degrees in the Triangle, again, with lots of sun. So again, lots of dry air. You can see it has filtered in through Memphis, back over towards Lake Charles, Alexandria, Dallas, and Houston. The deepest moisture has been pushed out into the Gulf. So we'll put this into motion. This is the upper level pattern, and this high building in from the southwest over the state, trough off towards our, this is fantastic for hurricane season. Let's see, Wednesday is the peak of hurricane season, and this is the day after. You couldn't ask for a better pattern at the peak of hurricane season. Now we don't have anything on the playing field, but again, this is what you want to keep through at least early October. Otherwise, that means hotter temperatures are expected as we head on into the end of the week and this weekend. And because we don't have any moisture return with high pressure and sinking air, I expect dry weather through at least Saturday, maybe Sunday. Now the high does break down, or at least weaken, as we work on in to say Monday of next week. But again, the storm pattern has been pushed off to the north and east. But again, notice the high over the Rockies, West Texas, kind of troughiness off to the east. This is great weather through the next 7 days. Now in the tropics, I don't expect anything the next 7 to 10 days at this point. Still going to watch a couple areas. We're going to be watching over here the tail end of this front. Right now, if anything develops, it would go on to Mexico because it's not going to move across the front. So right now, we don't think that's going to happen, but some modeling is showing that potential. The Caribbean, dry air. Look at the lack of cloudiness. That means dry air is over, and you can see kind of an upper level low right there in the cloud field. Otherwise, in the far eastern Atlantic, lots of dry air. There's Saharan dust. That also tells us there's a lot of dry air. So we've got dry air in the Caribbean and dry air, which is dominated by Saharan dust out in the far eastern Atlantic. So just does not look like much is going to happen over the next 7 to 10 days. We've also seen kind of this upper level trough over the eastern Atlantic, and that is creating quite a bit of shear around that trough. It's actually a tropical upper tropospheric trough of low pressure, and that has been kind of semi-stalled over the eastern Atlantic the last couple of weeks that I've noticed. So it's not very conducive out there to produce any tropical systems per se right now. So again, as I said, September 10th, which is day after tomorrow, we're at the peak of hurricane season, but that doesn't mean it ends October 1st, as we saw, in 2020 with Delta. Remember that? And Jerry back in 1989 hit in mid-October. Hurricane season doesn't end until the beginning or the end of November. Usually in mid-October, we're done here, at least climatologically, in southeast Texas. It may be this year that we're done by October 1st. It just depends on a number of things. Regardless, we hope we continue to see this trend of troughiness in the East Coast. On the Gulf of Mexico tomorrow, looking at slightly choppy seas around 2 feet in your coastal marine forecast. We'll see a breezy northeast wind at 10 to 15, subsiding in the afternoon to northeast winds at 5 to 10 knots, water temperature 87 degrees. It's come down because of the front. High tides at Sabine Pass if you are going to do some fishing at 4:48 a.m. and 5:42 p.m. And those days continue to get shorter by a minute or two each day. Now at 6:55 sunrise, sunset at 7:29 p.m. So tonight, clear and cool. We expect light northeasterly winds becoming calm. And again, this is what I've gone with: 60 Woodville and Jasper, 58 at Burkeville, maybe a degree cooler than that, but very comfortable tomorrow morning. Some might need a light jacket or something on your arms. 61 in Silsbee, Sour Lake, 60 Kuntz, and then I'm going to go 62 in Beaumont. A little cooler in outlying areas like Mauriceville, Vidor, back over towards China, and we'll go with the mid-60s in Port Arthur, back over to BC. Sabine Pass even pretty cool for them at about 67, 68 degrees tomorrow morning. Tomorrow looks like no rain expected across the area. Obviously, highs will be in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. The heat index should be in the mid to upper 80s tomorrow, so that tells you it ought to be a pretty nice day. The UV index, these are the days that I usually get burned if I'm outside. Use that sunscreen, 9.5, very high UV index tomorrow. And at least here in the Triangle, we'll see northeast and southeast winds. Up in the lakes area, you'll see northeast winds all day. This is maybe a light return flow off the Gulf late day. But again, sunny skies, upper 80s lakes, to around 90 here in the Triangle. Low humidity. It should feel fairly nice across southeast Texas. Get out and enjoy it. Taking a look at your weather impact 7-day forecast, so you know about Tuesday. Wednesday, we're going to see a little bit of a surge of moisture coming in from our east. Right now, it's either going to be mostly sunny or partly cloudy. Notice those lows still not bad.